The M&M Spokes candies are some of the craziest and most iconic advertising characters ever created. With a huge cinematic universe spanning hundreds of commercials, video games, a movie, comics, Dr. Phil, the M&M's commercials are some of the weirdest, and today I'm talking about the entire in-depth story. So way back in the 40s, these were the first M&M mascots. Okay, cool. Now in the 50s, these talking M&Ms aren't these talking M&Ms. These are Spokes candies, wildly different than the 50s. This M&M, I don't know the color of, describes the M&M making process, where this peanut jumps into a pool of milk chocolate, covers himself, and then molts into a hard candy shell. So the peanut M&Ms, the sentient beings, are just peanuts. He was fully alive before he jumped in, and now he's wearing armor. That's great. It makes sense. So then, what's the regular milk chocolate M&M? There's nothing to dip into the pool if he's just already chocolate, so did the essence of sludgy milk chocolate just form this homunculus? Sure, we'll go with that. Basically, every religion and science says that's how it happened with the universe, so we'll go with it, even though it makes absolutely no sense. What I assume is red and yellow M&Ms just tell this story over and over again. They jump into pools, they become delicious. It's how it works for 2 to 3 decades. The peanut M&M gets a southern accent, but now we're in the 70s, when the shower was invented. So the M&M world reflected that. The showers covered them in a hard candy shell like that ice cream syrup. So now they don't molt anymore. The M&M species evolved to not do that. But forget the M&Ms, look who's here. The M&Ms man. This lanky, gangly dude walks in with his spindly legs, missing a slide whistle sound effect for every one of his steps, and forces the sentient M&Ms away, getting no attention for a decade, like that one radioactive crumb in your microwave that you swear you'll clean out one day. Nobody liked the M&Ms man, so the M&Ms came back, so these cartoony M&Ms retake the throne for a good 15 years. In this time, there's a boot camp of sorts where they train to become M&Ms. They go on a talk show with a chocolate bar who ends up melting, promoting that M&Ms don't melt. One of these characters is Tan, who was an M&M color at the time. He was one of the main characters, along with a green almond M&M, along with red and yellow's predecessors, red and yellow. A new type of M&M, being peanut butter, was introduced, and they are shown to go through the same candy shell process as everyone else. Now the early 90s, now they became 3D. Have fun with that explanation. I don't know, some particle accelerator or something, why not? But these are not Spokes candies. These are some goofy goobers, 3D versions of the 2D ones. But then they all died. Cause of death? Consumption, for the most part anyway. Some of them got a big check from insurance lawsuits and likely retired. Hey everybody, it's President Mung, and today I have some M&Ms. That is all. The mid-90s, the Spokes candies enter the scene like a high-level business exec in a kid's movie. Red and yellow. Horrific creatures. Oh, you think they're so cute, ha ha. No. Killers. Cannibals. Leches. Licentious. And worst of all, they like vor. Well, one of them. I'd hate to group them all in. They're bad, but not that bad. We'll get to it. The company M&M's suddenly changed their mascots from being all nice and cuddly from the 40s to the early 90s, and then completely flip everything on its head. Red and yellow are created and hired by the company to film some ads and just in general work for them because they were the first documented type of their kind. Spokes candies. They aren't candy, they're human. You are what you eat. Patrick Warburton, Hey Peter guy, lectures the Spokes candies about how it's kinda wrong to eat your own kind. Next time we see him, he and Orange talk about you are what you eat, and boom, he turns into an orange Spokes candy. Never seen again. What does the first ad have to do with the second? I don't know, get Nietzsche or something. And much later, Red wishes he was a human, turning into this Adonis and getting hit by a bus. Now this doesn't directly mean he was once a human, but he is shown later on as a Spokes candy again, so unless it's a different Red, he was able to turn back into himself. Once the humans turn into the candy, they appear to lose the memory of being their former species, but not the craving of eating candy. I know this sounds like some Twilight Zone scenario, but if this isn't good enough proof for you, they have organs. Somewhere in there, they for sure have lungs and bladders. They hold their breath too long and turn blue, and Red admits he has to go pee after nearly suffocating. Candies don't have organs. Back to them being created though, I don't know if they really just turned into M&Ms after eating M&Ms. I believe they are more of some freak lab creation. After insurance lawsuits from the M&Ms themselves, candy pools and showers are no longer used to make M&Ms. Innovating, they switch M&M production over to a factory where all healthy food is manufactured. After a big payout from the suits, all of these M&Ms retire and live life never to be seen again, leaving a position open. Whoever the man behind the curtain is was able to create Spokes candies with some gene mutation or create special M&Ms that turn people into Spokes candies. More proof is they have to go into the lab every so often for inspections checking their chocolate. Every Spokes candy, seems to not only be complacent with the consumption of their kind, but enjoy doing it themselves. Now we have the spokes candies established. Their beginning is mostly innocent, some random banter between red and yellow, and sometimes eating their own kind. Red is truly Machiavellian, more lust than a private island of billionaires, and a bigger ego than all of them combined. He completely disregards any moral code, taking full pleasure in eating as many milk chocolate circles as he wants. He doesn't even flinch at eating his fellow spokes candies, but that doesn't happen super often, and if it's even a surprise given what I just said, all of his co-spokes candies are rather expendable. Red is willing to fully sacrifice their lives for his own, except for one peanut M&M. Yellow is just a big lunk, too much of his body is being taken up by a peanut, leaving not much room for a brain, but he does have a big heart. Attempting to save all M&Ms from certain death, even the regular candies, although at some point this changed because he also participated in their consumption. Red and yellow have a special relationship. Very special.
Dad, is this the bit where you say, it's not you, it's me?
Don't cheat on your partner. It's adultery.
Busted?
How could you?
Got a picture of you beside me. Got your lipstick marks still on your coffee cup. Whatever I said, whatever I did, I didn't mean it. So complete in our love, There's someone else you could take, Red, who's always there for you, knows what you like and don't like, only a phone call away.
Catching my drift here. I wonder what they're into. BDSM? NM? So understandably, they care for each other a little bit. Maybe they did it for love, or maybe because they were the only ones to pick from. Until a vote appeared for a new M&M color. Pink, purple, or blue, with the winner being blue. Quickly stealing the spotlight, the blue M&M was the cool cat in town. The king of blues himself, BB King, showed up to honor this swagger bean-shaped creature. The blue M&M is of the almond variety, and takes the spotlight away from the other recently created candies. Red and yellow try to reclaim their fame by holding their breath and turning blue, and then painting themselves blue. Not cool, guys. Blue face. Really? Once the blue craze gets over with, it's back to just red and yellow competing against a new, suave cool guy. Having more right angles than these elliptic guys, a chocolate bar. Possibly the same chocolate bar from before. But those UV rays aren't too friendly and changes his state of matter to liquid. And then red proceeds to prance in his corpse goop. And then the M&Ms bring in a female. Human lust carries over into the spokes candies. They may be the candies that don't melt, but man, they are in heat. They made fun of a chocolate bar for melting. Look at them just stare at Miss Green as she's all seductive and such. They make these commercials so sexual. She represents male desire, but as for a flavor, M&M Premiums and Mint. They kinda switch stuff around sometimes. Even the Smurfs fall under her spell. Grumpy Smurf falls in love with her plush. Introducing, constantly tweaking and on edge, Orange M&M. He represents crispy M&M, so he might be brittle. Probably why he's so anxious. Another M&M, but he's not even an M&M. He's missing the M. He's the imposter M&M, or the gray M&M. He's a criminal, guilty of currently absconding the authorities. He's hiding in an M&M candy bag with a bounty of $1 million on his head. Fans and consumers of M&Ms were the ones supposed to find him in this contest, and he was found. I'd like to know his true identity. Was he a fake, like some other candy-shaped man posing as a spokes candy, or some type of rejected M&M? A few years later, a similar character would appear named King Doom, a gray peanut-shaped M&M, also with a cash prize of $100,000. His fate is more unknown. The M&M factory has been producing banger after banger, and finally they make a mistake, creating the M&M Minis, or the Swarmies, moving as one large cloud and wreaking every kind of havoc that can be wreaked. There are tons of different colors of Swarmies, with two main design differences, one with arms and legs, and the others are just a circle. They appeared within a few years of each other, so I'm just going to group them all together. Through 3 waves of plush products, the minis with arms and legs get names. Orville Orange, Belle Blue, Perky Pink, Yellen Yellow, Pesky Purple, Gordo Green, Ricky Red, and Lisa Lilac. They made up the first wave, and the second included 8 more. Rambunctious Red, Vocal Violet, Funny Fuchsia, Techno Teal, Excessive Emerald, Brilliant Blue, Boastful Brown, which looks a lot more like tan, and Winking White, because white M&Ms are a thing apparently. The third wave featured mutant minis, with Neon Newman, Wavy Daisy, Luminous Larry, and Swirlin' Merlin. Why were they mutant? Because that's what the branding says. On the tags for these 3 waves, it said that these particular minis' goals were to fly into kids' mouths, which would likely result in the minis' death. Red and yellow take it upon themselves to capture the Swarmies that have escaped the factory. They do, keeping them inside the factory. In between the next big event, red and yellow try to make the M&Ms the candy of the new millennium. As it's about to become the year 2000, M&M is 2000 in Roman numerals, so it's obviously destined to be. After succeeding in obtaining the title, Red and Yellow go on vacation from working in the M&M's factory, which is apparently a role they have and they don't elaborate on. I don't know what they do there. Yellow leaves the Swarmies in charge of the M&M's factory. They of course destroy everything, and Red forces Yellow to go fix it all. Yellow restores the factory to working order and finds all of the lost M&M formulas the Swarmies hid. I don't know why they don't just eat the Swarmies. They are intentionally messing the factory up. During Yellow's solo adventure, Miss Green is there, also working for the factory, and she keeps checking in on his progress. And all of this happens in M&M's The Lost Formulas, also called M&M's Shell-Shocked. The Swarmies set off the robots in the factory, serving as the enemies in this blatant Crash Bandicoot knockoff. The game reveals there is a quote-unquote big boss that runs the factory, who clearly intimidates the candies, but he isn't seen again after this. But you know what? The Swarmies get released into the factory again, and so Red, Yellow, Miss Green, and Blue traverse the factory and collect all of them. It was Swarmies Crazy. Wait, no, there's gotta be a better name. It was Mini Madness, another game. Oh, but guess what? Let's just have one more video game about collecting minis. And so that's what the game M&M's Blast is about, with essentially no story to it. The minis cause just a little bit more havoc. In the craziest twist, the M&M minis get their own solo story, featuring the limbless Swarmies this time. Rosie, Peridot, Prussian, Brun, Blush, Buff, Ruddy, Ember, Odrian, Cinnabar, Umber, Lazuline, Crimson, Chiffon, Cater, and Cyan, along with a few potentially unnamed ones, I can't find their names, and they star in The Swarm, The Rise of Master M. They find a spokes candy generating machine, which created them, but the minis were released too early, making them premature. They fuss over the machine, mash some buttons, and voila, they create a horrific failure of a spokes candy, Master M, with a second head named Emma. He's got hairy feet, and a double, triple, maybe M on his gut. The 6-issue comic series has become somewhat lost media, at least from what I can tell, but what little story remains has Master M using a mutated minis tube to send the minis to wacky dimensions with some of Master M's minions, and the minis try to save the day. These minions are a shark in a scuba suit, a clown on a roller coaster, a ballerina with a spotlight head, a pterodactyl, something or another, a living plant, a robo-rhino dog thing, and a magma monkey. Each villain has a corresponding color, and that color of mini has to defeat it. You can only assume they defeated Master M because that's what happens always. But this still isn't the last of the minis. They just milked these for everything they got. There's still more minis. M&M's have a movie. You don't remember this blockbuster? I wouldn't expect you to. Exclusive to Las Vegas. You could only watch it there. I lost my M in Vegas. Red, our fellow degenerate, has gambled away the M on his shell. All the footage of it I'm showing you is hand-recorded because I cannot for the life of me find an official release because I don't think that exists. And on top of that, it's a 3D movie, so make sure you have your glasses handy. Red loses the M, and they're sucked via a portal back to their lab, or the M&M Academy, which is what Red calls it at the end of the movie. The place is led by a professor who is an actual human actor in person in Vegas, and they interact with the characters on screen. From there, they go to the Lost and Found Land, or something, this was really hard to follow, where they're directed to another place called the Lost Causes, and on their way there they run into sock people that only like sock people, so with the help of a female sock person named Bobby, who has a crush on Yellow, Red and Yellow escape the hostile socks. They make it to Lost Causes, I think, where the object with a lost cause gets incinerated by a massive robot thing that looks like Goddard. They use a watch they got to freeze time, they unleash the minis to help, but they cause more havoc, per usual. Yellow saved Red's M&M, and the minis actually save them from death. They blow up the machine head thing and fly away. Somebody licked a toad before they wrote that. Now enter the completely random era. The candies just do basically whatever. They encounter the Empire. Red refuses Darth Vader's offer to join the dark side, so he force chokes him, and Yellow quickly acquiesces and joins, and together they launch a decently massive product collaboration with some pretty fun merch. They have a not-so-friendly encounter with Mr. Bean, a collab with Shrek to promote ogre-sized M&Ms, because why not, a collab with Optimus Prime, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Indiana Jones. Red loses his color, and then he gets it back pretty quickly. They become enslaved and forced to row a slave ship, and in Russia they get some surgery to change their chocolate bodies into oranges. Wait, did you hear that? Holy guacamole. An actual story narrative has appeared. M and M apostrophe S break M. This game has a story mode. Look at this. Seems fun. I'd sit and play this. But it is amazing this game has a story mode. A nasty, nasty peanut named Mr. Runch desperate to become an M&M spokes candy, invades the planet Crunch. He begins crystallizing the planet's inhabitants, so red, yellow, orange, mist green, and blue take off in their rocket ships. We're missing like 3 sequels, a crappy spin-off, an anthology series, and a reboot that is underrated but hated by the fan base to explain how we got here. Mr. Runch wants to kidnap the spokes candies and use them to coat his skin. Great! They go through like 50 levels of breaking blocks, and they fight many bosses, of whom I think were just animals in their habitat, not surprising whatsoever from the M&Ms. There's a baby bird, that is the first boss they fight, a baby bird, an anglerfish, a platypus, a spider, a flying squirrel, an alien, a robot, and then they defeat Mr. Runch. There's very little confrontation. In the ending cutscenes is Mr. Runch sharing similar arms and legs to the spokes candies, frozen in a crystal. They leave him here to die, or he's already dead. Yippee! So at the beginning of the game, Red mentions a reject bin, implying Mr. Runch is a reject. This in some way shows up much later in a commercial, where the spokes candies are shown approving and denying sentient peanuts for who can become an M&M. Not a spokes candy, just the ones you eat. It's very possible that this is a clue to Mr. Runch's origin story that he was once a denied peanut. Now we learn of an M&M society. I mean, yeah, you could call it that, but probably not though. There's just a lot of M&Ms. Like spokes candies, but ordinary people in M&M form. You could M&M yourself. This was another large campaign called Inner M, where it showed non-spokes candies M&Ms just living their life, doing regular things. They didn't tell the camera to eat M&Ms or anything. They just mound their own business. This is where Dr. Phil M&M comes in. I legit thought this was just a meme. It's a canonical thing. It's officially M&M. There is a Dr. Phil M&M. There's also an M&M Statue of Liberty. One of these regular people M&M wants to drill themselves some ears. That's weird. The Addams Family was also M&M to advertise dark chocolate M&Ms. These guys are eerie, but I do like them. But besides the Addams Family, there were tons of other celebrities that got M&M'd. Some are actual celebs, some of them are people who were famous in 2007 and couldn't be picked out of a lineup today. I'm not going to categorize by that, but I'll let you decide. There's Wilmer Valderrama, Lisa Rinna, Joey Fatone, Michael Strahan, Bobby Flay, Mary Lou Retton, Joan and Melissa Rivers, Christina Sarah Legui, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, Brooks and Dunn, Harrison Ford, Brad Garrett, Kiss, Howie Long and Jimmy Johnson, and Michael Bay. I know about half of those people. Well, I know who all of them are, but I know about half of them personally. Resuming their lives again without spaceships, there's trouble in paradise. Red and yellow break up. Don't really know why, but in this one commercial, they show them living disheveled, drinking milk chocolate. They sort of imply that could be alcohol, so maybe one of them has a problem. Okay, let's be real, it's Red. Yellow throws out all of Red's stuff from their apartment, but this lasts for about, well, it doesn't last. They quickly make up. Yellow choreographs an entire dance routine and writes a song, which brings back Red. They've been together for like 15 years at this point, why let that go to waste? Now is as good of time as any to talk about Red's desires. He's all over the board. He'll do whatever to whoever, I think. I said the craving for candy was the only thing that carried over from human to spokes candy. Well, not exactly, as they do find human females attractive, and M&M females attractive. Ironically, many human men find the female M&Ms attractive. That's neither here nor there. The female humans they end up with only want one thing, and that's to eat them. And Red at first seems displeased, but quickly admits to liking their desire to eat him. So there's that. Other times, they're deathly afraid of getting eaten, hiding and disguising, doing whatever they can to remain alive. I guess they're just really wishy-washy. Sometimes they say they shouldn't eat M&Ms, and in the next breath, they eat them. I did just say that females only want to eat Red, but there's one exception. This time, when he's shown in bed with a female, that is what it means. Not gonna think about it. He helped a wife cheat on her husband, and shockingly, Yellow was in the closet watching. Moving on. Red dresses up as a cannibal for Halloween, but he hasn't changed his look, because it's not a costume.
A cannibal.
Yellow stands there complacent, but adding a slight comment of,
"Ooh, that's dark."
And then the M&Ms hire some lady to sing for them, each in these individual rooms. This is not important, but these rooms look cool. I like this commercial. That is the only reason I wanted to talk about this. The next non-M&M character they know is Popcorn Guy. They first knew him as a colonel. That didn't last long. They meet Santa. Both parties are equally surprised to see each other. Santa mutters they do exist right before he passes out, so apparently the spokes candies have some mythological reputation. Putting the ribbon on the story, Yellow inadvertently saves Christmas. This was really cool. It was a 2-part commercial, with the first part airing in 2003 and the second in 2017, but with no gap in the scenes. M&M's Kart Racing. Now, they got a racing game. A franchise is truly not considered a franchise without a horrible racing game. The characters were the main M&Ms, but also 3 characters called Robo, Cricket, and Foxy. Apparently, according to the fandom site, I would have never made this connection, but Foxy appears very similar to a character also called Foxy from Brutal Paws of Furry. I don't know who made that connection. Good job. Also, what is Brutal Paws of Furry? M&Ms have a new adventure. Don't take my word for it. They really wanted to convey they do something. In this game, called M&M's Adventure, it's an adventure through their factory again. There are multiple sectors based on holidays, and each one has a villain relating to the holiday. Cupid for Valentine's Day, the Easter Bunny for Easter, Uncle Sam for the 4th of July, a jack-o'-lantern scarecrow type of thing for Halloween, and a snowman for Christmas. I'm guessing it's because those are the major holidays where M&M's has seasonal candies, but that is not referenced in the game at all. Let's just finish off the games, just because M&M Beach Party, it's a party game, but they bring back Mr. Runch for no reason. There's no story, he's just a part of a minigame. The Island Tribe Arc. Yellow's great uncle Methusius Yellow went exploring to find the lost tribe of M&Ms and never returned from his expedition. Red, Yellow, Orange, Miss Green, and Blue embarked to find this tribe, who Yellow calls M&M ancestors. First, they set up camp and all strip nude, flaunting their chocolate bodies. They make dirty comments about small peepees. It's overtly sexual. Crazy that some of this was actually advertised. I just thought that stuff was supposed to be kid-friendly. It's candy. They cover up their privates, but I don't see anything anyway. Red takes Orange's shell and tries to sell it on eBay. Orange insinuates Green is a strumpet, I think, by commenting about the ambiguity of location her shell has been. The only thing is that Yellow isn't actually fully nude. Yellow's body is a peanut. The chocolate and the chocolate candy skin are just clothes for him, yet he acts like he's naked. He's the first one to show off, and he made everyone fulfill their agreement that they all would strip. You want proof? Here is, not one, but 2 commercials where he strips. In one, the shell and chocolate layers are taken off separately, and the other he just strips both at the same time. The other M&Ms might be like this as well, depending on what type of M&M they represent, sort of like the peanut butter guys from before. It doesn't take long and they find the tribe, made of wild and feral versions of each spokes candy, but there are multiples of each. The spokes candies regret their discovery and run for their lives, separating from each other, so the tribe begins their hunt. Yellow finds the shrunken head, even though the entire head is the body as well. It's still hollowed out and shrunken. Yellow doesn't piece it together, but this is Methusius Yellow. They presumably ate all of his innards and arms and legs and have his nasty leathery skin on display. The kicker is it still can't melt in the sun. They capture all 5 candies and they prepare them for a nice stew. Apparently it's in the candy M&M DNA for them to want to eat each other. If these guys are supposedly their ancestors, spokes candies being created in a factory doesn't make sense, but I rebuke that. Perhaps the tribal candies were created in a lab and were rejected and dumped onto that island. The next part isn't conveyed as a sequel to this saga, but it could be, is this commercial with red, yellow, orange, and blue on a floaty raft with this rickety cricket guy, and they're stranded in the ocean. They have a vote for who should be eaten to feed the others, and Red throws the vote, saving himself, electing Orange to be the sacrifice. See what I mean? He's evil. I'd like to think they escaped the tribal island, but without Green. No worries because the M&Ms can't die. Well, ignore Methusius. Here Yellow is on Halloween, in ghost form. After having a chunk of him eaten, he does begin ascending, which likely means a candy heaven, with a candy god, and Yellow is guilty of cannibalism, so candy M&M god is cool eating their own kind. I mean, Jesus wants his followers to eat him and suck his juices, so I guess it's kind of the same, right? Sorry, I got sidetracked. Point being, I think it's fine Green got left behind. I don't think they're gonna be able to kill her. Yellow appears alive and normal after that ghost commercial, unless of course, canonically, that was the last scene Yellow was ever in. But other times their body parts can be removed and eaten, like Red got eaten by a dog once and he's fine. So yeah, they don't die and she's fine. Immortal candies. Not sure how I feel about that. Not sure why I care. Yeah, I don't care actually. Leaving the only girl behind on an island full of ferals probably wasn't the best thing. Being stuck with the menaces is worse than her just dying. Or second option, if they're all actually humans, what if somehow Green got reversed and this is her human form? It's never been established that male humans can't turn into female M&Ms, so I want this to be the true answer. That way, this is who everyone goons for. Once they're all back, the spokes candies have decided to separate, calling it the color breakup. Simply, they just get fed up with each other. First, they sequester themselves in these small rooms of their respective colors, and then they go on their separate ways. Red becomes the cherry for the Oregon Cherry Company. Yellow's just lonely and goes on a daytime talk show. Blue joins the Blue Man Group. Green writes a book called Our Bodies, Our Shell and goes on a book tour, which is actually the second book she wrote. The first book was I Melt for No One, and it debuted in one of her first debuts on Dennis Miller's talk show. And Orange, well, the idea bucket ran dry. He's just preyed upon. Poor guy's already got crippling anxiety. Guys, I have an announcement. There's a new M&M. Pretzel, a new spokes candy. Pretzel guy, not a candy. But Orange is selected to be the M&M representing the pretzel. Orange and Pretzel become friends, running around together, disguising, getting tattoos. Pretzel guy is very nonchalant, goes with the flow. He's not really even bugged by the fact that he is surgically inserted into Orange. He seems unenthused, but he already seemed unenthused anyway. I'm assuming this confirms the death of Pretzel guy, but his entire body is still in orange, probably adding to his anxiety. He's got a rotting corpse in him. Well, rotting maybe isn't the right word. Pretzels just get like dusty. Maybe he's not dead. Maybe he's just inside Orange like it's a chocolate mech. Of all of Orange's past experiences, well, besides living in a world that constantly wants to eat him, Pretzel guy being inside him is a very justifiable reason for his anxiety. How would you like it if someone was inside you 24/7? Next, they get a time machine and go to 1798 France. I'm not questioning why they have a time machine. Yellow almost spends a whole night with Napoleon but is pulled away. Red confirms Mr. Bonaparte is a nut man. They presumably return to modern day, so guess who's back? The chocolate bar. Like 2 decades later after melting. Maybe they slightly shifted the timeline and that prevented his previous death. Probably not. Okay, guess what the chocolate bar guy does? He melts, that's all he does. I mean, that's what he did the first 2 times. Why did you think it'd be something else? Some other guys audition to become a snack pairable with M&Ms. Not inside the M&Ms, but to be snacked on with M&Ms. Being popcorn, pretzel, jello, chips, crackers, and peanuts. These guys, however, never end up anywhere. Red is arrested, not for any horrific acts on his own kind, but instead he bites a human child. Red was biting back, I guess. Yellow made absolute sure to publicize the whole thing online. The reckless, rambunctious, and irreverent behavior of the 5 M&Ms finally gets a leash. Miss Brown, the chief chocolate officer. She's the only mature one of the group. She's all about expanding the brand. She strikes a deal with the Geico Gecko. They get a movie deal, and she brings in a new recruit that they all have to agree to hire. Caramel Cube. This guy wanted the chipmunks. His shtick is that he's a square, a very steak and potatoes guy. He won a BET award for the smoothest spokes candy, but that's basically it. Oh wait, no it's not. They're back in space again. All 6 spokes candies and Caramel Cube guy. They're in space aboard the Guardians of the Galaxy ship, the Milano, I think. Red is the captain, and this is Caramel's first mission. So that means this isn't the first mission. Glad we were privy to that. I'm pretty sure they don't mean Mr. Runch. Space pirates from Rhombus 5 called the Scavengers start to approach the M&Ms, but they escape and relegate Caramel to check the storage where he finds spare candy shells, in sheets too, so they're keeping racks of skin in the back. That's weird. Captain Cruel, leader of the space pirates, tractor beams in their ship and gets ready to capture all 6 candies, and it's up to Caramel to save the day. Too bad we get a to be continued, and this was the only issue published. Nice. After this, Caramel Cube doesn't really matter, but he survives. Another new spokes candy is here, the hazelnut M&M, and as soon as they're being revealed, we see the corpse. Not even the corpse, just the gloves and boots. Red, yellow, orange, blue, and Miss Green ate him. Miss Brown didn't participate, but didn't stop them, and she usually seems to have good authority over them. There's an entire comic dedicated to how much they love the hazelnut M&Ms. The 6 candies go on a heist for a pack of them. Brown does this little plot to deceive the others so she can have all the hazelnut M&Ms for herself. She didn't eat the spokes candy, but now she wants them. As if the Guardians ship from last time wasn't enough proof, here they are wearing Avengers masks, and they're in the same scene with the Avengers Tower, making them canon to the Marvel Universe. That implies entirely too much. In another completely unrelated comic, the 6 go to the English countryside on an invitation from British heiress Eleanor Livingston. Green is her good friend, and they've all come to celebrate the opening of the mansion she has inherited from her uncle Frederick. But ooh, the guests have seen a monster in the moors, so they just sit and blabber forever, and turns out it's a porcupine or hedgehog, maybe a possum, like a British possum, that's why it looks like that. It talks. That's the end of that, though. What a weird story for them to go on. Why not just explore the endless white void that they're always shown in? Finally, for real, a new spokes candy. Purple, representing acceptance, inclusivity, authenticity, self-awareness, and confidence. My favorite M&M flavor. This now makes pink the only one from the original blue, pink, purple votes still not a spokes candy. I hope he gets his time to shine eventually. probably 10 years from now. Purple, the newest female, joins with the other two to advertise the quote-unquote flipping the status quo package of M&M. Advertising women. Oh my god. I completely forgot they even existed. Without this package of M&Ms, I might have completely forgot about 50% of the population. Miss Green and Miss Brown also have a change in shoes. Miss Green loses her boots and gets shoes, and there was an outcry. Oh boy, it was such a problem it wound up on Fox News, which says absolutely nothing about the quote-unquote issue. Look, the Gooners were upset. If Miss Green didn't have boots anymore, how were they supposed to imagine her stepping on them? Well, they got worse news. The M&M's company basically gave the bird, said, "Take this," and silenced all Spokes candies. They removed them from the public eye and replaced them with Maya Rudolph, changing M&M's to Ma and Yaz. Alas, it was a publicity stunt, and the 7 returned. And I think that's an appropriate place to end the story. But that's it for today. Not much has really happened in the past few years for these guys, but I have no doubt they'll do something to get the media's attention again. They're finding really successful ways to do that. I'd love it if they went on a whole time travel arc or something like that, or maybe officially marry Red and Yellow, or add them to Fortnite or something. I could easily see that. I just want something more from these guys. Anyway, subscribe, join my Discord, follow my Instagram and TikTok, but I didn't have to tell you to do that. My amazing content already spoke for itself.
Hey, look! I didn't know you were allowed to keep monkeys at home.
Red, I think that's a man.
Oh, sorry, mister. No, you were allowed...